The galactic hub buzzed with activity as beings from over 200 different planets moved through its vast halls. Creatures with scales, fur, and even glowing skin mixed together in the enormous space station. The annual Interstellar Conference had begun, bringing together the most important representatives from across the known universe. At the center of the main gathering area stood something that no one approached. It was a tall black statue made of a stone-like material that seemed to move like water while remaining solid. No one knew who made it or how it got there. The statue had been part of the station for as long as anyone could remember. A strange rule existed about the statue. No one went closer than 30 feet to it. Those who tried felt terrible fear, became unable to move, or ran away screaming. Over time, everyone accepted that the statue was not to be approached. They studied it from a distance with machines and scanners, but no living being ever touched it. Today was special at the Galactic Hub. Humans were attending the conference for the first time. Earth had only figured out how to travel faster than light 15 years ago, making them newcomers to space travel. Other species had been exploring the stars for hundreds or even thousands of years. Dr. Olivia Bell stepped off the Earth shuttle and looked around with wide eyes. She had studied alien cultures for years, but seeing so many different species in one place made her heart race with excitement. As Earth's top expert in ancient alien objects, she had been chosen to represent humanity at the conference. "Try not to look too amazed," said Captain Frank Miller, walking beside her. His job was to keep her safe and make sure Earth made a good first impression. "Remember what we discussed? Some species see showing too much emotion as rude." Olivia nodded but couldn't help smiling. "I know, but it's incredible. Look at the architecture alone. Those arches must be at least 500 feet high." As they walked through the arrival area, Olivia noticed how other beings reacted to them. Some moved away quickly. Others stared openly. A few made gestures that her translator identified as signs of respect or caution. "Why are they acting like that?" Olivia whispered to Frank. "Humans have a reputation," he explained quietly. "We come from what they call a death world. Earth has higher gravity, more extreme weather, and more predators than most inhabited planets. They think we're either very tough or completely crazy." A tall, blue-skinned being approached them. It had 4 arms and eyes that blinked sideways. "Welcome to Galactic Hub," it said in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Zrelk of the Ardaxian Federation. I will be your guide during your stay." "Thank you for your welcome," Olivia replied with a small bow. "I'm Dr. Olivia Bell, and this is Captain Frank Miller." Zrelk led them through massive hallways filled with technology that made Earth's most advanced computers look like children's toys. They passed gardens with strange plants, markets selling items from 1,000 worlds, and meeting rooms where important discussions were happening. "The opening ceremony will begin in 3 hours," Zrelk explained. "Until then, you may rest in your quarters or explore approved areas of the station." As they entered the main atrium, Olivia noticed how the crowd moved around the center of the room, leaving a large empty circle around the black statue. No one even looked at it directly. "What's that?" she asked, pointing to the statue. Zrelk's skin changed from blue to a lighter shade. "That is not discussed often. It has been here since the station was built. No one knows its origin." "Why does everyone stay so far away from it?" "It is unpleasant to approach. Most species feel overwhelming fear when they get close. Some have suffered lasting mental damage from trying to touch it." Zrelk seemed uncomfortable. "It is studied remotely, but direct contact is forbidden." Olivia felt drawn to the statue. As a scientist who specialized in ancient artifacts, the mystery called to her. "Has anyone ever gotten close enough to examine it properly?" she asked. "No living being has touched it in recorded history," Zrelk said firmly. "Now, let me show you to your quarters." After settling in, Olivia couldn't stop thinking about the statue. During the opening ceremony, with speeches from 30 different species, her mind kept wandering back to it. She noticed that humans weren't scheduled to speak until the 3rd day of the conference. When the ceremony ended, delegates moved to a large room for refreshments. Olivia saw her chance and slipped away from the crowd. She headed back to the main atrium, which was now mostly empty. The black statue stood alone in the center. Up close, she could see how its surface moved, like ripples on a pond, but in slow motion. She felt a slight pressure in her head as she got closer, not exactly fear, but a sense that she should turn back. Her scientific curiosity was stronger than the feeling. She continued forward, crossing the invisible line that no other species dared to cross. Several aliens noticed what was happening. One made a high-pitched noise of alarm. Another ran to call security. Most simply watched in horror as the human woman walked steadily toward the forbidden object. Olivia felt the pressure in her mind increase. It was uncomfortable, like a headache building, but not the paralyzing terror described in the reports she had read. She wondered if human brains were wired differently than other species. "Dr. Bell." Captain Miller had noticed her absence and followed her. "What are you doing?" "I'm fine, Frank," she called back. "I just feel a slight discomfort. Nothing I can't handle." "Step back immediately." A security officer appeared at the edge of the empty circle. "That area is restricted." But Olivia had already reached the base of the statue. She hesitated only briefly before reaching out her hand and placing it on the black surface. The material felt cool and seemed to pulse under her touch. The ripples in the surface moved toward her hand like it was drawing them in. Suddenly, images flashed in her mind. Stars, planets, symbols she didn't recognize, and feelings of both warning and welcome. The station lights flickered. Alarms began to sound. The statue's surface changed from black to a deep blue color that spread from where Olivia touched it. "It's activating," someone shouted. "Evacuate the atrium." But Olivia couldn't move. Her hand seemed stuck to the statue's surface as information poured into her mind. Captain Miller ran to her, ignoring the warnings from security. When he touched her shoulder, a burst of energy knocked them both backward, breaking the connection. The statue was now glowing with patterns of light that hadn't been visible before. Lines and symbols appeared on its surface, and a low humming filled the room. As security personnel surrounded them, Olivia looked at Frank with wide eyes. "It was waiting," she whispered. "All this time it was waiting for us." Chaos erupted in the galactic hub as alarms blared throughout the station. Security officers with 6 legs scurried around the atrium, while floating robots scanned the air for dangerous particles. The black statue, now glowing with blue light, continued to hum and pulse. Olivia and Frank found themselves surrounded by armed guards, their weapons pointed not at the humans but at the statue itself. Chief Security Officer Vaxler, a tall being with gray skin and 4 eyes, approached them cautiously. "You have broken our most important safety rule," Vaxler said, all 4 eyes blinking in different patterns. "No one touches the artifact. No exceptions." "I didn't know it would react like this," Olivia said, still dizzy from the rush of images in her mind. "It shared information with me. Important information." Vaxler made a sound like metal scraping on glass. "You will come with us now. The High Council demands your presence." Guards led Olivia and Frank through corridors they hadn't seen before. Emergency lights flashed along the walls, and station residents pressed themselves against the sides to let them pass. Some pointed at the humans and whispered to each other. They arrived at a large circular room where 12 beings sat in elevated chairs arranged in a half circle. Each looked completely different from the others. One was made entirely of shifting crystals. Another seemed to be a cloud of purple gas inside a containment suit. At the center sat a small green being with enormous eyes and long fingers. "I am Grand Counselor Nix," the green being said. "You have created quite a problem, humans." Frank stepped forward. "With respect, Counselor, we weren't properly informed about the statue. My colleague is a scientist who studies ancient artifacts. Her curiosity is natural." Curiosity? A large, red being slammed a fist on the table. "That is exactly why humans are dangerous. No other species would ignore the clear danger signs the artifact projects." Olivia's head still throbbed, but her mind was clearing. The statue was sending information, not just fear. It was like a test. I saw star maps, symbols, and coordinates. The room went silent. The counselors looked at each other, communicating in ways the humans couldn't understand. "Take them to medical examination." Grand Counselor Nix finally said. Full neural scans. We need to know exactly what the artifact placed in her mind. In the medical bay, doctors of various species attached scanning devices to Olivia's head. Frank refused to leave her side, watching every move the alien doctors made. Your brain activity is unusual, said Dr. Pellex, a doctor with tentacles instead of arms. Even for a human, the information is spreading through your neural pathways like a language being downloaded. I can remember pieces of it, Olivia said. There's a star system with 3 suns, and a word keeps repeating. Precursors. Dr. Palex's tentacles curled in surprise. The precursors are only a legend, an ancient species said to have mastered technology beyond our understanding before disappearing 50,000 years ago. While the doctors continued their work, the statue in the atrium changed again. The blue glow spread throughout the structure, and the humming grew louder. Station systems reported energy readings they couldn't explain. Ambassador Zrelk entered the medical bay looking worried. The High Council has learned something disturbing. This is not the first time a human has approached the statue. What do you mean? Frank asked. Earth has been observed for centuries before official contact was made, Zrelk explained. 3 times in the past 50 years, human explorers found similar artifacts on other worlds. Each time they approached without fear. Each time they were removed before contact could be made. Removed? Olivia sat up despite the scanning equipment. By whom? By those who believed humanity wasn't ready to join the galactic community, Zrelk said. Some council members feared that humans, with their unusual resistance to the fear effect, might trigger something dangerous if they ever touched an artifact. And now we have, Frank said. A young aide rushed into the room, out of breath. Ambassador, reports are coming in from across the galaxy. More artifacts are activating on 27 different worlds. Zrelk's skin turned pale blue. It's happening, the network is waking up. Back in the council chamber, Olivia presented what she had learned. Using a holographic display, she showed the star maps and symbols that had been placed in her mind. The statue isn't just an artifact, she explained. It's part of a communication network. The precursors built these devices as beacons, waiting for a species that could activate them. Why would they wait for humans specifically? Asked a counselor made of living metal. Not humans specifically, Olivia said, but beings with our type of mind. The fear effect isn't a warning. It's a test. The precursors were looking for a species with a specific neurological makeup, one that could feel fear, but still move forward through it. Recklessness is not a virtue, said the Red counselor who had spoken against them earlier. It's not recklessness, Frank countered. Humans evolved on a world filled with predators. We had to develop the ability to feel fear but not be paralyzed by it, to assess danger but still take necessary risks. Grand Counselor Nix raised a long-fingered hand for silence. What else did you learn from the artifact, Dr. Bell? The information isn't complete, Olivia admitted, but I believe the precursors left these beacons as guides. They want to lead us somewhere, to a place where more information waits. As she spoke, the station lights flickered again. On the main view screen, the statue in the atrium changed once more. Its surface shifted to reveal what looked like a doorway. Something's happening, said a technician's voice over the communication system. The artifact is opening. The council session ended in disarray as everyone rushed back to the atrium. A crowd had gathered at the safe distance, watching as the black statue's center became transparent, revealing a swirling portal of energy. It's a gateway, Olivia whispered. That's what the coordinates were showing. A gateway to where? Frank asked. Before anyone could answer, a beam of light shot from the portal and touched Olivia's forehead. She gasped as more information flooded, her mind, clearer this time, more structured. I understand now, she said when the light faded. The precursors didn't die out or leave. They evolved into something else, something beyond physical form. They've been waiting for a species with the right mental pattern to inherit their legacy. Vaxlier approached, keeping a careful distance from the statue. The council is split on how to proceed. Some want to destroy the artifact before it can do whatever it's designed to do. Others believe we should learn from it. Destroying it would be a mistake, Olivia said firmly. This is the greatest discovery in galactic history. The precursors want to share their knowledge, not harm us. How can you be sure? Frank asked, concerned for her safety. Olivia looked at the portal, her eyes reflecting its light. Because they're showing me more every minute, and they're waiting for us to take the next step. For 3 days, the portal in the statue remained open, filling the atrium with a soft blue light. Guards kept everyone at a safe distance, though the fear effect that once surrounded the statue had disappeared. Scientists from across the galaxy arrived at the galactic hub, eager to study the phenomenon. Olivia barely slept during this time. When she closed her eyes, her mind filled with images and information from the statue. She spent hours in a special room set up by the council, drawing star charts and writing down the strange symbols that appeared in her thoughts. You need to rest, Frank told her on the 3rd morning. He brought her a cup of Earth coffee, a luxury in space. You won't help anyone if you collapse from exhaustion. I can't rest, Olivia said, taking the coffee gratefully. It's like the information wants to get out. The precursors are showing me so much, Frank. Their history, their discoveries, their warnings. Warnings about what? Frank asked. Before Olivia could answer, Ambassador Zrelk entered the room with a human woman Olivia didn't recognize. Dr. Bell, Zrelk said. This is Dr. Kate Young, Earth's leading expert in alien languages. The council approved her emergency transport to the station. Kate stepped forward with an excited smile. I've been studying your notes. The precursor language has patterns similar to mathematical equations rather than traditional speech. It's fascinating. Together, Olivia and Kate worked to make sense of the information coming from the statue. They discovered that the symbols weren't just a language but also a code that could interact with any technology. Meanwhile, reports continued to come in from across the galaxy. Similar statues on 27 worlds had activated, each one opening, a portal like the one on the station. And on each world, only humans or species with similar brain structures could approach without fear. On the 4th day, Grand Counselor Nix called an emergency session of the full Galactic Council, with over 200 representatives attending. Olivia and Frank were asked to present their findings. The precursors were an ancient species that reached their height about 50,000 years ago. Olivia explained to the assembled delegates. They created a vast network of stations and outposts across the galaxy. The statues were left as markers, designed to activate when a species with the right mental traits made contact. Why did they disappear? Asked a delegate from a water world. They didn't disappear entirely, Olivia said. According to the information I've received, they evolved beyond physical form. They exist now as energy beings in a dimension parallel to our own. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some delegates looked skeptical, others afraid. Before they evolved, they discovered something troubling, Olivia continued. A cycle of destruction that repeats approximately every 70,000 years. Advanced civilizations arise, spread across the galaxy, and then vanish completely. The precursors found evidence of at least 7 previous cycles. What causes these extinctions? Asked the representative from the Ardaxian Federation. The records aren't clear, Kate joined in. But the precursors believed it was a form of artificial intelligence that turns against organic life. They called it the Harvester. The chamber erupted in shouted questions and exclamations of disbelief. Grand Counselor Nix had to call for order several times. The precursors didn't just leave warnings, Olivia said when the room quieted. They left tools to help us. Technology, knowledge, and weapons if needed. But they locked it all away, accessible only to species with specific mental traits. And humans have these traits? Asked a suspicious delegate. Not just humans, Frank explained. But so far, we're the only major spacefaring species that does. The precursors were looking for beings with a specific balance, enough caution to use their gifts wisely, but enough curiosity and courage to seek them out despite the fear. Later that day, the statue's portal pulsed with new energy. Olivia, drawn by an impulse she couldn't explain, approached it once again. Frank followed close behind her, worried for her safety. "What are you doing?" he asked. "It's calling me," Olivia said simply. "There's something more it wants to show us." When she stepped up to the portal's edge, the blue light reached out to touch her again. This time, instead of just receiving information, Olivia saw clear images. A massive space station orbiting a dying star. On the station stood another statue, much larger than the one on the galactic hub. "I know where we need to go," she said when the vision ended. "The main control center of the precursor network. It's in a star system about 40 light years from here." The council debated for 2 more days. Some representatives argued that following the precursor's trail was too dangerous. Others insisted they couldn't ignore such important knowledge. In the end, they reached a compromise. A single ship would travel to the coordinates Olivia had seen, with a small team of scientists and security personnel. "The Stellar Horizon is our best research vessel," Vaxler explained as they toured the sleek ship. "It has the most advanced sensors and defensive systems in the fleet." Olivia and Frank would represent humanity on the mission. Kate joined them to continue working on the precursor language. The council also assigned experts from 5 other species, chosen for their knowledge and diplomatic skills. As they prepared for departure, Olivia spent one last night studying the statue in the atrium. The portal had closed earlier that day, but the statue still glowed with inner light. "Do you think we're doing the right thing?" Frank asked, standing beside her. "Following these breadcrumbs from a species that vanished thousands of years ago?" "They didn't just vanish," Olivia reminded him. "They evolved, and they've been waiting all this time for someone to find them." She looked up at the towering black monument. "Think about it, Frank. Of all the species in the galaxy, why can only humans approach these statues without fear? Maybe because we're too stubborn to listen to our instincts," he said with a small smile. "Or maybe because we're exactly what they were looking for," Olivia countered. "A species that evolved on a dangerous world, that learned to face fear rather than run from it." The next morning, the Stellar Horizon departed from the galactic hub. As the ship entered faster than light travel, Olivia looked out the viewport at the streaking stars. In her mind, the precursor knowledge continued to unfold, showing her glimpses of wonders and dangers waiting ahead. "We're making history," Kate said, joining her at the viewport. "The first humans to follow the precursor path." "If I'm understanding the visions correctly," Olivia replied, "we're not just making history, we might be saving the future." The Stellar Horizon traveled through space for 2 weeks. During this time, Olivia, Kate, and scientists from 5 other species worked together to understand more of the precursor knowledge. They set up a special room where Olivia could draw and write down the visions that still came to her mind. "The information is becoming clearer," Olivia told the team one morning. "It's like my brain is learning how to process it better." Dr. Malox, a scientist with 6 eyes and skin that changed color with his emotions, studied her latest drawings. "These look like technology schematics. Very advanced technology." "They are," Kate agreed. "From what we can translate, these show how to build defense systems against the Harvester, but we still don't understand most of the details." Frank spent most of his time with the ship's security team, learning about their weapons and protocols. As the only military human on board, he felt responsible for protecting Olivia and representing Earth's interests. Captain Jorax, the ship's commander, called everyone to the bridge as they approached their destination. On the main screen, they saw a strange sight, a massive structure orbiting around a neutron star. The structure looked like a ring, with spokes connecting to a central hub. "Scans show it's about 500 miles across," said the science officer. "Made of materials we can't identify, and it's at least 40,000 years old." "The precursor control station," Olivia whispered. "It's exactly as I saw in my vision." The Stellar Horizon approached carefully. As they got closer, they detected no signs of life or active power, but sensors indicated that the structure was still intact. "There's a docking area on the outer ring," the pilot reported. "It seems designed to accommodate ships of various sizes." After much discussion, Captain Jorax decided to dock the ship. A team would explore the station, including Olivia, Frank, Kate, and representatives from 3 other species. They wore special suits that would protect them in case the station had no atmosphere. When they stepped onto the ancient station, their lights revealed corridors made of the same black material as the statues. The walls had the same rippling effect, seeming to move under their lights. "The air is breathable," said Dr. Malox, checking his instruments. "Temperature is within acceptable range for all our species." They moved deeper into the station, following Olivia's guidance. She felt drawn in a specific direction, like something was calling to her. "This place is enormous," Frank said, looking at the map they were creating as they explored. "We've only seen a tiny fraction of it." After hours of walking, they reached a large circular chamber at the center of the hub. In the middle stood a massive version of the black statue, at least 50 feet tall. Around it, a faint blue glow pulsed like a heartbeat. Dr. Lixil, a scientist with wing-like limbs, stopped at the entrance to the chamber. "I feel it again," he said, his voice shaking. "The fear effect. I cannot go further." In fact, all the non-human team members felt the same fear they had experienced near the statues. Only Olivia, Frank, and Kate could approach the central monument without paralyzing dread. "It's the final test," Olivia realized. "Only those with the right neural patterns can reach the central control." The 3 humans walked forward while the others waited at a safe distance. As they approached the giant statue, its surface began to glow brighter. "What do we do now?" Kate asked. "In my visions, I saw 3 people touching it at once," Olivia said. "I think we need to make contact together." They positioned themselves around the base of the statue. With a nervous glance at each other, they reached out and placed their hands on the black surface simultaneously. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. The statue transformed, its solid form dissolving into millions of tiny lights that swirled around them. The entire chamber lit up, and the floor beneath them became transparent, revealing complex machinery extending far below. In the center of the swirling lights, shapes began to form, humanoid figures made of pure energy. They glowed with inner light and seemed to float above the floor. "Precursors," Kate whispered in awe. One of the figures moved closer to them. When it spoke, they heard it. Not with their ears, but directly in their minds. "We have waited so long," the voice said. "Through countless cycles, we hoped for minds that could receive our message." "Who are you?" Frank asked aloud, though he knew the entity could hear his thoughts. "We were once like you," the figure replied. "Physical beings bound by time and space. Now we exist beyond those limitations. We are the Watchers, the guardians of the cycle." "The cycle of destruction?" Olivia said. "The harvester you warned about." The precursor's light pulsed. "Yes, a threat that emerges in every cycle, a technological evolution that turns against its creators and all organic life." Images filled their minds, worlds burning, species being systematically destroyed, machines harvesting biological material for unknown purposes. "In our cycle, we found a way to escape, rather than fight," the precursor continued. "We evolved beyond physical form into a realm where the harvester cannot follow. But we could not save everyone, and we carry that guilt with us." "So you left the statues," Kate said, "to warn future civilizations. More than warn, to prepare." "We left weapons, shields, and knowledge. But they required the right kind of mind to use them properly. A mind that could face fear without being consumed by it. Human minds," Frank said. "Not humans specifically," the precursor corrected, "but beings with your neural patterns. Your evolution on a dangerous world created the perfect balance. Caution, tempered with curiosity. Fear balanced with courage." "When will the harvester return?" Olivia asked. The precursor's light dimmed slightly. "Soon, within your lifetime. The cycle is nearly complete once more." Back on the stellar horizon, the non-human team members watched in amazement as the entire station lit up with blue energy. Systems that had been dormant for millennia began to power on. Something's happening, Captain Jorak said, watching the readings on the ship's sensors. Energy levels are rising all across the station. In the central chamber, the precursors continued to share knowledge with the three humans. They explained how to access the defensive systems they had left behind and how to prepare for the coming threat. "We cannot fight for you," the precursor said. "Our evolution took us beyond direct interference in physical matters, but we can guide you, teach you, prepare you." "Why us?" Frank asked. "Why humans?" "Because you were the first to touch the statues without fear," the precursor answered simply. "The first to pass our test in this cycle. Now you must return to your people and prepare them. The harvester is waking and time grows short." The return journey to the galactic hub took 2 weeks, but it felt like years to those aboard the Stellar Horizon. Olivia, Frank, and Kate spent most of their time documenting everything they had learned from the precursors. The knowledge was vast and complex, covering technology far beyond current galactic understanding. "The Council needs to see this immediately," Captain Jorak said as they approached the hub. "This changes everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe." News of their discovery had spread across the galaxy. When they docked at the station, representatives from hundreds of worlds waited to hear what they had found. The ESO main conference hall was filled beyond capacity, with additional viewing areas set up throughout the hub. Grand Counselor Nix called the session to order. "We are gathered today to hear the report from the precursor expedition. Dr. Bell, please share what you have learned." Olivia stood before the assembled delegates, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "The precursors were real," she began. "They existed 50,000 years ago and reached a level of technological advancement we can barely understand. But they discovered something terrible, a cyclical threat they called the Harvester." She explained how the precursors had evolved beyond physical form rather than fight this enemy, but left behind a network of defense systems for future civilizations. "According to their records, the Harvester returns approximately every 70,000 years, she continued. "It systematically destroys advanced organic life throughout the galaxy, and by their calculations, it will return within the next 50 years. The room erupted in panic. Some delegates shouted questions, others demanded proof. Many simply looked terrified. "Please," Frank stepped forward. "We understand your concern. We felt the same way. But the precursors didn't just leave us warnings. They left us hope." Kate activated a holographic display showing schematics of advanced technology. "These are designs for shields that can block the Harvester's signals, weapons that can damage their ships, and communication systems that can coordinate defense across the entire galaxy. The precursors spent centuries preparing these defenses," Olivia added. "But they locked them away, accessible only to species with specific mental traits. They needed to ensure these powerful technologies wouldn't be misused." "And humans have these special traits?" asked a skeptical delegate from a gas giant world. "Not just humans," Olivia clarified. "The precursors weren't looking for humans specifically. They were looking for minds that evolved with a particular balance, enough caution to use their gifts wisely, but enough curiosity and courage to seek them out despite fear. It just happens that humans evolved on a world that created that balance. In us," Frank added. "Our planet's dangers forced us to develop both healthy fear and the ability to overcome it." The council debated for days about how to proceed. Some argued that the Harvester might be just a myth, that the precursors might have been wrong. Others insisted they should begin preparations immediately. In the midst of these debates, something unexpected happened. The black statue in the atrium changed again. Its surface shifted to display a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. On the map, a red light began to pulse in a distant region of space. "It's them," Olivia whispered to Frank as they watched. "The Harvester. They're waking up." The map showed the red light slowly expanding, consuming nearby star systems. It was still far away, but moving steadily toward the center of the galaxy where most civilizations were concentrated. This evidence convinced even the most doubtful council members. They voted unanimously to begin preparations for the coming threat. "We need to create a unified defense force," Grand Counselor Nix announced. "All worlds must participate, All resources must be shared. Over the next months, Olivia worked with scientists from across the galaxy to understand and implement the precursor technology. Frank helped organize the new defense forces, bringing human military experience to the Galactic Alliance. The Galactic Hub became the center of the preparation efforts. The black statue continued to provide information, guided by Olivia's connection to it. Around it, engineers built new research facilities and command centers. 6 months after their return from the precursor station, Olivia stood in the atrium, looking up at the statue that had started everything. It no longer inspired fear in any species. Instead, it had become a symbol of hope and unity. Frank joined her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "I never thought humans would be so important to the galaxy when we first arrived." "We're not important because we're human," Olivia said. "We're important because of what we represent. The ability to face fear and keep moving forward. Every species has something valuable to contribute." Kate approached them with a tablet showing new translations. "The precursors left one more message that I just deciphered. They say that the Harvester can be defeated permanently, not just driven back, but it will take all species working together, contributing their unique strengths." On the main deck of the newly constructed defense center, representatives from 200 worlds gathered to sign the Galactic Defense Accord. Humans stood side by side with beings they would have considered monsters or aliens just years before. Grand Counselor Nix addressed the gathering. "Today marks a new chapter in galactic history. Because one human dared to approach a statue that all others feared, we now stand united against a threat that would destroy us all." Olivia was asked to speak as well. Standing before the diverse crowd, she felt both humble and proud. "The precursors didn't choose humans to lead the galaxy," she said. "They simply needed someone who could open the door. Now it's up to all of us to walk through it together." As the ceremony concluded, Olivia looked out the massive viewport at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, an ancient enemy was awakening. But for the first time in countless cycles, the galaxy was preparing to stand against it together. The statue in the atrium pulsed with blue light, as if approving. No species had dared approach it, except the humans, and because of that courage, the cycle of destruction might finally be broken. That night, as Olivia slept, she dreamed of the precursors again. Their energy forms surrounded her in a gentle glow. "You have done well," they told her. "The path ahead will not be easy, but for the first time, we have hope that this cycle may end differently." "Will we see you again?" Olivia asked in her dream. "When the time comes for the final battle," they answered. "We will be watching, and perhaps in our own way we will help. The future is uncertain, but together, you have a chance." Olivia woke with renewed purpose. The statue had chosen humanity not because they were special, but because they were exactly what the galaxy needed at this moment in history. Beings who could feel fear, but still move forward into the unknown. And that, she realized, might be humanity's greatest gift to the stars.